was just in the break, I was reminded of the possibility when it is difficult for us to connect with a sense of friendliness, a sense of more space, a sense of welcoming, because we are so identified with the content. So, in other words, when it's difficult to do this step of embrace and accept, because there's just not enough space. Like, I mean, it happens that we are so much it, that there is not that extra space to do like this. So in the Tibetan tradition, what we then use is the practice of temporary projecting that capacity of embracing, of loving, of compassion outside of us, in the form of the Dalai Lama or Jesus, or you don't do that in the Buddhist tradition with Jesus, but in the Christian tradition, or with your teacher, with Tara, with Shenrezik. So and while you're doing it, you keep an awareness that what you're relating to in that imagination and that dialogue is an aspect of yourself. Yeah. So, and that's why I would like to lead a little meditation on that. So you could explore if this is a way for you, and maybe it is not. That's fine. But it could be a way for you to bring that spacious, loving presence into a very contracted state. So, and then another thing, we are not trying to get rid of being contracted. So this is not like, this is not fixing and controlling, and so we are going to contract, for a while. It's going to happen. Life will throw things at you where you will fall back into the patterns of reactivity and defensiveness. So what we are right now exploring is to change our relationship with that reactivity. To experience how you are bigger than that reactivity. It's going to happen. I'm not sure if there's any living person on this planet who is not, I don't know, maybe the Dalai Lama. I'm not sure. But it's so there's and then this practice of imagine yourself to be in the presence of the Buddha, that can give you that space to relate to your reactivity in a different way. But don't forget that the Dalai Lama is an aspect of you. The Guru is there. The outside Guru is there. The outside teacher is there to reflect back to you that what you are. This is not like worshipping a person, or so. It is a way to actually liberate yourself from being dependent on the Guru out there, because through the practice you more and more connect with that loving space within you. But temporary, that can be a help to meet that quality first outside. So for this second step, the embrace, accept, one possibility is to invoke the presence of your teacher. to remember his voice, what he said to you, maybe he touched you, remember moments of teachings where you felt relief. And in the Tibetan tradition, you consciously cultivate that. Like every day, it's called Guru Yoga. So every day you go back into the presence of your teacher, while knowing you're relating to something in you. You're relating to the true you, to the inner guru. This is a trap if you keep projecting the goodness out there. Oh, it's in the Dalai Lama, it's in this, oh, it's up there. And they are Tibetan and they are man. So, and I'm Finnish and I'm female and I don't speak Tibetan. So, yeah. That's an unhealthy relationship to a teacher. So let's play with this kind of experiment, and of course some of you are familiar with that kind of practice. So let's take a few moments to reconnect with the body and the breath. And it might be helpful for this meditation to close your eyes, so you can bring your awareness more into your inner world. And you just take a few moments to be with your own energy, checking in how you are. And noticing the breath. And quickly we can appreciate the stillness surrounding and underlying, pervading your experience, even if you are quite busy in your mind, and stillness is also happening. So you can relax into that. And dropping from the head into the body. And then I invite you to feel the presence of the Buddha or the Dalai Lama or Jesus. And if you can't choose, then you just imagine the three of them. So you settle into the presence, the smile, the loving gaze, the radiance which is bathing your whole body from the toes to the top of your head. How would it be if the Dalai Lama would step into the room? How does it feel to be seen completely, nakedly, and to be understood and loved? So you bring yourself along just as you are, without pretense, softening and opening into the space of compassion, of wisdom. And see if you can make it real in the sense of that you really feel, you imagine, you feel the presence. So it's not so important that you have a clear mental image. It's really a whole body experience, feeling the warmth of the body. And then when your mind wanders, you drop back into the body, and then you open to the experience of sitting, like sitting in the sun. And here the sun of the Buddha. And your whole body, every cell of your body, is bathed in the radiance, in the healing radiance of compassion, of freedom, of courage. And how would it be if the Dalai Lama would step behind you and would put his hands on your shoulders? And you would feel the vitality, the warmth, the gentleness, the welcome spreading from the shoulders into your whole body, softening and opening. Every cell of your body opens like a flower with the light of compassion. And then he would bend down and he would whisper into your ear with his deep voice, "I love you." I love you. And feel how that which is hard in you, which you're afraid of, that what you're ashamed of, how that can soften, how that is allowed and invited. Nothing is too much. Nothing needs to be hidden. So your belly opens like a flower, your heart opens like a flower. And like sitting in the sun, you bathe in the gaze of the Buddha, and the smile. open your awareness to the people around you who are just the same, or bathing their struggles and pain and their hardness, their resistance in the compassionate presence of all the Buddhas surrounding you, loving you, protecting you. Like angels. In the whole body. And then these tantric angels, these wisdom beings, they dissolve into light. And this light fills your whole body, from the toes to the top of your head. And the ordinary appearance of your body dissolves, letting go of the mental image of the body. A moment of union oneness with Buddha mind, with a heart, with a big heart, boundaryless and centerless. Nothing is excluded. Compassionate presence. So maybe you felt potential there for that kind of practice. If not, that's fine. So it's obviously not for everyone. But still, maybe you can experiment a bit with it. Are there memories somewhere in your body, in your mind, of being touched, being held, being met in a really loving way? This can be your grandmother, your father, an aunt, a friend, a dog. Dogs are very good in this. So, and as soon as you have opened that door a bit, so you opened that door, so that's enough. So you open that door, and then you can open it again, and again, and again. And then you start to step into the room. And maybe you feel a challenge, a real challenge there to lean into this being touched by that. Maybe you notice a fear. Because there could have been moments in your life where you opened and then you got hurt. So you maybe something is actually afraid to open to that tenderness, to that gentleness, to that kindness. Yeah, it's understandable, isn't it? That it is like that. That you are afraid. So then, recognize, accept, investigate. But don't give up. So go there again, even if you're afraid. Oh, I don't want to be touched. It was much more comfortable behind this wall. It was much more comfortable to pretend that I don't need this. I'm not longing for that. It's much more comfortable to be a bit cynical. So don't give up on that. You are worth it. And it is a journey. We don't need to jump. So you have the time you need. You take the steps which feel right for you, but you lean into that space of love. And you don't do it for yourself, actually. You are just one person. Who cares? But there's many others who are waiting for that to come forth in you. So don't do it for yourself, but do it for the people you care about. So it is a possibility in the Tibetan tradition. One would, start a day, maybe. Start every day. You start a day with reconnecting with the presence of that goodness within you through the help of a practice like Shenrezik or Tara or Guru Yoga or and then slowly you start to feel that you're always in the presence of goodness. You're always in the presence of the Guru. You're always in the presence of the Lama. Not as a person, as a superhuman out there, but as your essence. The Lama as your essence. So now, before the lunch break, I want to talk a bit about these three attitudes, which leads to, which are connected with three characteristics of the nature of your mind. So I talked about how the first part of awakening is the recognition of the non-existence of the separate solid self. So that's the first part. And now we come into the part of the shifting your sense of identity away from that, shifting your sense of identity away from the process of selfing to the true self, to the big self, to the true you, which is in the Buddhist tradition is called the nature of your mind, or the emptiness of your mind, or Buddha nature, or the non-dual mind, or pure awareness, or Christian mystic would say God. So it's shifting your sense of identity from the clouds to the sky, shifting your sense of identity from the wave, being the separate wave, to be the ocean. The commitment and acceptance therapy, they call it shifting from self as content to self as context. From the content, I am my memories, I am my personality, I am this body, I am the sensations, I am that and this and that. Shifting away from that, your sense of identity. This is going to happen, it's going to continue, that mess, but you start to shift your sense of identity away from that into the context, into the space through which the mess is happening. A bit like here in this room, there can be a lot of movement, people walking, the furniture can change, the colors can change, but there is something needed for this change to happen, and that's the space of the room. So similar, for your life to happen, for thoughts to happen, for feelings to happen, for sounds to happen, for this to happen, this moment as it is, there needs to be a space, an inner space. So now we are, of course, we are very interested in the content. That's what, that's where the action is. That's where the drama is. There I can resist. There can I puff myself up. There I can feel real with. So we are hardwired to be attracted to the content. And we miss peace. We miss home. We miss the natural stillness. So the recognition of that, and the resting in that, or the resting, not the resting in that, the resting as that, because you are that space. That is the biggest discovery. That's the treasure. That's home. That's the end of seeking. So now, what is it what we are? So the problem now is, or the challenge is, that I try to communicate something which is beyond words. I'm using words, but they are not it. So that's a challenge. How do you communicate something which is beyond words? And how can you be sure that you get it? You have a sense, oh, now I understood something, but we're communicating something else here. You're not going to understand this. Never. This is not an object of knowledge. So nevertheless, to a certain extent, the Buddha refused to talk about this. Because as soon as you start to talk about this, you make it into something. And this is neither nothing nor is it something. But as soon as I talk about it, something in us makes it into something. So that's why the Buddha, in part of the teachings and in part of the trainings, does not say anything about this. Now, in the second turning of the wheel, when the Buddha talked about emptiness, on Vulture's Peak, in these teachings, which is written down in the Heart Sutra, what he does there, he takes everything away, what you think you are. He takes away all the toys, including the spiritual toys. Including all the books and all the knowledge we have accumulated, and the 16 of that, and the 8 of this, and the Four Noble Truths, and the whole thing. He takes everything away. This is not it. This is not it. He takes away any carpet you might want to stand on. And then he says, this is it. And he leaves. This is the groundlessness. And in another Prajna Paramita Sutra, it says that some of the monks, they fainted because it was too much. After memorizing all the 16s of this and all the 8s of this and Four Noble Truths, and it was such a nice system, and karma, and it feels so nice, and you have a map, and you feel safe, and you're a spiritual practitioner and a meditator. It feels so good. It's like safe. You can feel a bit self-righteous around the people who are not so wise and who have not yet understood. And then suddenly the Buddha takes all that away. And leaves you in that. But after a while he came back and said, oh, I can't let them just stay there. So he gave what is called the third turning of the wheel. And in the third turning of the wheel, which is the foundational teachings for the tantric view, he talks about Buddha nature. So he puts word onto that, and he describes and points to that which is a kind of challenge or dangerous to put some words on that. But nevertheless, it is helpful to have a sense of what that is, where we relax into. So these are these three attitudes in this discovery, which are connected with the three qualities which we start to recognize when we look into what is Buddha nature, what is the nature of your mind, what is the true self. And this afternoon then I will guide some meditations exploring that. So the first attitude is the easygoing, allowing, letting things be attitude in meditation. So that instruction is connected with the quality of openness, of emptiness, of boundaryless, of centerless. So what we are looking into when we are looking into this, yesterday I told this story about Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche from, this is the way we usually look. So now we turn around and we look into that which is looking. We're looking into that which is aware. We're looking into the space. So now one quality of that space is that it is open, boundaryless and centerless. It has no characteristics. It's empty. There's nothing there. Now this is an extreme to say there's nothing there. It's not true. I'm just saying it. It's a very special nothing. There's nothing there, but it's very special. It's not nihilistic nothing. In a way you could say there's nothing there and there's everything. So the easygoing attitude in this kind of natural meditation, in this effortless meditation, that leads into that, is connected with that quality of boundaryless, centerless, spacious, nothingness, stillness, peace. So when we are looking for the nature of mind, we are not going to find it. We are not going to find something. There's the nature of mind. If you look into the sky, if you search for the sky, you're not going to find it. You can look at it and you can relax into it, but you're not going to find anything. So in the traditional teaching, this is sometimes called the emptiness. The emptiness. The emptiness of your mind, the emptiness of your heart. You can't find it as a thing, but it would be too extreme to say it does not exist. Because obviously it exists. Otherwise, what is hearing now? What is seeing now? So something is there. So the second quality, the second attitude in this kind of meditation is being interested. I will talk about this, the value of being interested, a bit more later. So this is connecting with the quality of wakefulness, what is called wakefulness, or awareness, or knowingness. So the space we are looking into when we look into the nature of mind is not, it's similar like this space, but there is one difference. This space does not know. But the space we are looking into now knows. It's aware, it's on, it's wakeful. And it's happening now. So there is a space there, and that space is wakeful, it's aware, it knows. And that knowingness, that wakefulness is effortless. It's happening. And I will prove this now to you by saying to you, try not to be aware for 10 seconds. Just switch it off. Switch it off to be aware. 1. Come on. Stop it. Don't be aware. 2. Switch it off. 3. Don't be aware. You are aware. You are aware. Does it mean you are not in control of that or what? try to just stop. So you are listening, you are seeing, you have feelings. Stop it. 5, 6. You are on, right? You are on and you have no choice. And you're on all the time. That onness is there all the time. Even if you're asleep, because if I do like this, you wake up. So there was also an onness. There is an onness in deep sleep. You can knock yourself out. There is still an onness. There is still a basic wakefulness there. And this wakefulness, that effortless awareness has been there all the time in an uninterrupted continuum. Now, Western materialists, they would say, back, 50 years back, when you were a few cells in the womb of your body, in the womb of your mother, suddenly these cells, they became complicated, very complicated, and then on. And then on. Yeah? So suddenly out of matter, on. And then it was uninterrupted. As people know now, even in the womb you are on already. So that does not make sense from the Buddhist point of view. So from the Buddhist point of view, the onness was there. The onness is the ground. Not the matter is the ground, gives rise to the onness. From the Buddhist point of view, the onness is the ground and gives rise to matter. So that onness is beyond life and death. It was not born, it will not die, it's your original face. How is it called in the Zen tradition? It's the original face before you were born. And that original face, that onness, which you have just touched when I ask you to switch it out, that is open, boundaryless, centerless. So that's the wakefulness. And the third quality is connected with the attitude of friendliness in meditation. And that connects with characteristics of that boundaryless onness, that boundaryless wakefulness, that boundaryless knowingness, which is sometimes called goodness, or Tara Brach calls it in her latest book, she calls it gentleness. So there is a kind of radiant goodness, intelligent goodness in it. That's why in the Tibetan tradition it's symbolized as Prajna Paramita, the Great Mother. So it is connected with a feminine, with a female quality of nurturing, of giving birth, of taking care, of growth, of moving forward, of benefit. So it is a description of the very core of this moment, the very core of this universe. And the discovery is that the very core of this moment, the very core, the essence of this universe is good. And that's not something you believe, it's something which you experience when you let go into that space. And it is, of course, if you read any poem, any description of a mystic in any kind of religion, in any kind of path, they describe exactly that. They have different words for the open, boundaryless knowingness, which is in the nature of love. So in that mudra of turning around and becoming aware of the experience there, becoming aware of awareness itself. Awareness is recognizing itself. This is what you're looking for. This is what you're looking for, and it is also with what you're looking. Awareness is recognizing itself. The practice now in the fruitional view is recognizing short moments again and again. So short moments of turning around, what is experiencing this? And looking into and not finding. What is hearing this? So you turn around, you listen. You listen to that which is listening. And then you do it again. So then a contraction, a shampa arises. So you go through the steps, localize, embrace, or recognize, accept. But then, at one point, you ask this question, what is aware of this? What knows this? So you turn around. Kind of like, almost like you turn your eyes around and you look back into your heart. What do you find? Open, boundaryless, empty space in knowing, aware, in the nature of love. Non-judgmental, nurturing, intelligent. It is said that, sometimes this space is being described with the 5 wisdoms. The 5 wisdoms, which is a description of your Buddha nature. And one of the wisdoms, the 5 wisdoms, is called the all-accomplishing wisdom. And that's the wisdom to know what's the best, the most beneficial to say or to do in any moment. So it is in that recognition, looking into that space, familiarizing yourself with the space, what also comes is a knowing of what to do, left or right. How can I help this person? Should I move to Stockholm or Malmö? No, I'm in Finland. Should I move to Helsinki or I don't know any other place in Finland. The north. Yeah. So it is said, and that's the experience, and that's also what you observe in the masters who have made this shift. Somehow they know, and it just happens intuitively. They know what's the best to say to this person. They just know it, and it just happens through them. But that capacity is there in your Buddha nature also, or in your Buddha nature. It's not your Buddha nature. It's there in the true self, in the true you. In effortless knowing what's the most beneficial to do. So don't give up on this. If it didn't make sense at all what I said, just don't give up on this. Look for go to some other teachers. receive teachings on emptiness, so the first part, realizing, seeing directly that there is no separate independent self, seeing that. Don't give up on that, it's easy. It's so close. It's so obvious. If you're a scientist, read some neuropsychology, read some quantum physics, and then it's there. So that's the first part. The second part is seek out teaching from any tradition. It doesn't matter. It can be Christian mystics, it can be Advaita Vedanta, it can be the non-dual satsang scene, it doesn't matter. It can be Dzogchen and Mahamudra, Zen. They all talk about the same thing. So find those pointers, find those teachers who somehow can give you that contentless transmission. Nothing is given to you, no understanding, nothing is given to you, but it is unmistaken. It's the same recognition as Milarepa had 2,000 years ago. No, 1,000 years ago. The recognition of your heart essence, your spiritual essence, the nature of your mind, which is beyond words, beyond concepts. Nevertheless, I made a lot of words now about it. Or 3 words. I made 3 words about it. And these 3 characteristics of emptiness, wakefulness, natural wakefulness, it's also called, effortless wakefulness, and love, goodness. They are traditional. So you will find them in any pointing out instructions or teachings on the nature of mind in the Dzogchen and Mahamudra tradition. So in the meanwhile, to ripen as a student and to increase your potential to recognize, but then also to be able to rest, it probably makes sense also to do some of the graduate path stuff, purification and shamatha and accumulation of merit. Probably it makes sense. For most people, it makes sense to also do that. So that's it. Any questions? Doubts? Yes.
Does this wakefulness have anything to do with soul? Is it totally different thing?
The 3, the openness, wakefulness, and goodness, you could say it's a kind of, it's the Buddhist soul. So it would be different if you would assume that the soul is something solid, something personal, which jumps from life to life, which belongs to you. So there, by investigating, you would find yourself that this is not how it is. You wouldn't find a soul. You don't find a soul as a solid thing, which is like personal. But it's fine to call this soul. The open, empty, wakeful essence, which is in the nature of love. Yes.
This empty observing consciousness,
Mm.
according to this concept, when do you think it is emerging in the cluster of sense of the becoming human?
From the Buddhist point of view, it's not emerging. It's there all the time. What emerges out of that is, the process of selfing, experiencing yourself as a separate being. And that process of selfing is a process which happens, in the first 2 years, in the first 3 years of your life. But that process of selfing is known. It happens within awareness. And it's a good thing. It's a necessary thing to go through that. But the open, wakeful goodness is unborn, unceasing, unchanging. So it's a very different view on the universe. It's a non-materialistic view on the universe. So here in that view, there's consciousness from which everything emerges. In our view, in the materialistic view, there's matter from which consciousness emerges. So what is it? That's something we need to find out ourselves through looking, through investigating. What do you feel? Are you a materialist or?
I do agree from your point of view.
Yeah. Yes.
And probably this process of selfing of this consciousness, definitely starts already in infantility period.
Yeah, could be. Yes. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. The tendency to do that, even amoeba has a little bit, like the very simple beings. They maybe there it already starts a sense of I want this and I don't want this. Yeah. It's of course not as complex as in our brain, but it could be that it is already happening quite early. And this is, I think, an important point, because sometimes there is a sense of we shouldn't have an ego, and but we need an ego. We need a healthy ego. So the process of selfing needs to happen, and we don't try to get rid of it. Of course, you need to have a sense of, oh, this is me, this is my needs, and this is my feelings, and this is your feelings. So there needs to be a healthy selfing. And if it was disturbed, that healthy selfing which is happening in the baby, then you're in trouble. No? Then you might lose contact with the shared reality of other people. Or you might be not able to take care of yourself and your needs. You might not be able to protect yourself. So the healthy selfing needs to happen, and it needs to be there, but you are not that. It's something which happens within that which you are. So we are not trying to get rid of the ego. Like the selfing, the process of selfing, that's what is sometimes called the ego. It needs to be healthy. But you are not that. Any other questions? common stops confusion. I can always then ask who is aware. If I don't know the answer, I can just ask, what is asking that question? That's the interesting question.
Well, then we could also ask the purpose of this penetration of consciousness in this reality. What is it according to your concept?
Can you say it in different words?
Well, if the process of awakening
Mm.
into this reality where consciousness comes first.
Mm.
What is the purpose of consciousness to emerge into this reality through the eyes of the one who is interpreting the reality through the self-intelligence?
So why would open wakeful goodness take the trouble to create this whole nightmare? Yeah, this is probably one of the questions humanity has been pondering. Yeah? Why, if you would look at it as a kind of creator, yeah? So why would God take all this effort? Why would God to take this upon himself or herself? In the Buddhist tradition, I think they mostly would say it has been like this since beginningless time. There is not the first spark, so it has been just doing that. And it's going to continue to do that. And there's no original cause. It never starts. So they bring the beginningless time into it. Because for them, there needs to be always a cause which is in the same nature as the effect. So confusion can only come from confusion. And then if you ask, but the first confusion, where did that come from? The first confusion came from a moment of confusion, and that came also from a moment of confusion. So, and you don't come to that first moment where everything was peaceful, and then somehow there was confusion out of nothing. That does not make sense in the Buddhist thought. But in other traditions, like in the Hindu tradition, they might say something, it's because this wants to recognize itself. And for recognizing itself, it needs to create some sense of separation. So from some Hindu thought, we are actually God manifesting itself, herself, to recognize herself. So it's a longing of God to get to know herself. And the way she does it is she creates a sense of separation, a sense of confusion, a sense of ignorance, so that we can spend our life to go back home. Sometimes I feel some joy in that thought. I feel some joy in that thought that my experience and what we go through together is I now forget why I found it, so I have to think about it again.
So then we can also assume that the confusion and the contrast is the most valuable raw material of our reality.
Yes, yeah, yes. It's necessary, yes. It's valuable, yes. Mm. So awakening can't be recognized without confusion. There is no Buddha without sentient, confused, ignorant being. They need to come together. There is no, the light needs to have the darkness to exist. So both needs to be there. Yes.
So then, Newman discussed the part of it when all the animals and plants and everything are, they are like our brothers and sisters in this, where the consciousness comes first and then the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so what shouldn't really influence on these plants? How does this influence how you should think about
Plants.
animals and plants?
Yeah.
And so on?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is no you should. It's more a matter of, when you recognize this, when you recognize that everything is connected with each other, when you recognize this as your body, not this as your body, but this, the whole thing is your body, what happens then? So what is the feeling? So what is the sense of responsibility? What is the sense of care? So there is no need to say, oh, you should have compassion, or you should take care of the world, or you should stop to harm others, because it's obvious. If this is your body, and it's not like, oh, okay, that you're being told, oh, this is your body, so now you take care of it, and I give you this 10 commandments on how to do it. No, it's just seeing reality, seeing that everything is connected, and then it's natural, like a mother taking care of her child. You don't need to tell a mother, you need to take care. No, she does it. So in the same way, in that recognition of interconnectedness, there is a natural care, there is a natural harmlessness, there is a natural... So that's why the practice of recognizing this in the Buddhist tradition is seen as sufficient. You don't need to do something else. You don't need to go through the 5 steps of compassion and the 10 of this and this is sufficient. You don't need to cultivate good qualities if you recognize this, because good qualities benefit will come from this realization. Yeah. And then, of course, it becomes challenging because, what do you eat? Where do you live? Do you drive a car or not? So it is. This is really a journey then. What does it mean to live a harmless life? Trying to be an expression of that goodness, of that harmlessness, but without becoming a fundamentalist, a fundamentalistic vegan or something like that. Judgmental and looking down upon others and bitter and afraid, and so then you don't add to the kindness and the freedom and the spaciousness in the world, but you add to the violence and the judgments. And so this is really a journey. This is something where there's no easy answer, and to find your way, an expression of that. What is the wise way, a good way to live? Okay, so let's have a break until 2:15. So that's 1 hour and 15 minutes. And let's see what we will do this afternoon. Let's see.